Let's talk some quarterback play here, Stephen. Jalen Hurts, let's talk about him, because I think it's interesting that when players transition from high school to college football at the quarterback position, we usually tag them. This guy's a runner, this guy's a pocket passer, and you have to be either one or the other. And if you're a pocket passer, therefore you can't move, we know you got a strong arm. Or if you're a runner, maybe you're not the most cerebral guy, or you're not the most accurate passer. It's like we have to put him in a category. But with Jalen Hurts, we knew he was mobile, but maybe he's got a better arm than a lot of people anticipated.
This guy has a big-time arm, Mark. I watched him on A-Day, and I understand you cannot base everything on a spring game. But when you watch this kid, especially on that final drive where he hooks up with Derek Keefe in the back of the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown, I saw 5 throws from Jalen Hurts where my jaw dropped, my pen fell out of my hand, and I'm like, oh, my Lord, this kid – he's putting the ball in the spots where they need to go to. He's giving the guys like Cam Sims, Foster, Calvin Ridley the ability to go up, make the play. These are tight spirals that he's throwing. When he's throwing the football, the receiver does not have to look back. When that ball comes out, that receiver is right there catching it in stride, not having to slow down. And that's something that you just can't coach. You just cannot teach that. You can fine-tune it at your own peril, but that's something that when that kid has it, it's been ingrained in him from day one. Jalen Hurts' dad, Averin Hurts, happens to be was his high school coach at Channelview, Texas, when this young man, who was a high 4-star recruit, enrolled early in 2016. This is a guy that's squatting 560 pounds, Mark. 18-year-old kid, 60. You got corn-fed, 300-pound linemen that would shrill at squatting 560. And this is an 18, my 18 squatting this. Here's a guy that's running a 4.65. So he's got the leg strength, he's got the speed, he's got the tight spiral, he's got the coaching, his dad coaching him. It's almost like win, you win the lottery. And I understand Alabama has never started a true freshman quarterback under the Saban era. Of course, it started a true freshman quarterback under the Ray Perkins era, being Vince Sutton back in 1984. But we all know Vince Sutton got bumped over for Mike Schumer. We know the Kenny Stabler story. Ken Stabler, who has that same skill set, but a Jalen Hurts would have. But in the 1960s, freshmen weren't allowed to play, so poor Kenny wasn't allowed to play as a freshman back in 1964. So this day and age, with the Elite 11 camps, the opening competitions, the Under Armour All-America games, and already knowing what's expected of them. And with Jalen Hurts, it comes down to how much more of a push can he generate in fall camp. He's made enough of a push that you can't overlook him. Talking about possibly using him in a package. If you're going to use him in a package, he's good enough to run the offense. It's now a matter of time.
Stephen, my knees are hurting just thinking about lifting 560 pounds.
No knees, Mark. My eyeballs hurt from just looking at that weight going up and down.
The other thing is that catches me from your last dissertation there was that, my goodness, if your jaw's dropping because you go to as much Alabama football practice as anybody around and you see the best of the best on the field, so you're not checking out some FCS school practice on a regular basis. You're seeing the cream of the crop. So you're used to seeing guys that are going to be playing at the next level constantly. And if your jaw's dropping, that tells me a lot.
I mean, this kid is there is special. I mean, there is special. I was at Alabama Fan Day on August 7th, which was last Sunday. I was at Alabama Fan Day and at the podium after Nick Saban. And the term that Kiffin just could not get away from, and Hurts, was very special skill set. The fact that he put the very right there. an adjective or an adverb to describe something unless you know it's legit. You don't use that unless you know within yourself how legit it really is. And he used the very special to describe Jalen Hurts. This is a young man that, keep in mind, he was supposed to be going to his high school prom, Mark, his high school prom. But yet he's at Alabama emulating Deshaun Watson. He's at Alabama getting the gist of the playbook. He's at Alabama squatting over 500 pounds. He's at Alabama trying to prove that, yes, I'm a true freshman. Yes, I'm a baby. But there's a lot of babies that have went on to be starting quarterbacks year one. Keep in mind Pat White, if that name rings a bell, went to West Virginia in 2005 and was a co-starter for that Mountaineer team. Played in 12 games. That team went 11-1 under Rich Rodriguez, won the Big East title. You look at Chris Leak. Everybody falls in love with Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer, but the man Ron Zook, who recruited Chris Leak. Chris Leak comes in 03. As a starter in the SEC. The team ended up going 8-5 and went to the Gator Bowl. And then, of course, Peyton Manning, who it took a Todd Helton injury to put him in there, but the man went in there as a true freshman and did what he had to do. So even though, baby or not, Alabama doesn't start a true freshman under Saban or not, there's a point where if you're Saban, years old, you've been at Alabama 10 years, folks did not think you would be at Alabama for 5 years. Haven't you deserved the right to shake up the dice just a little bit harder? Somebody that's got the high upside.
Stephen, you know I'm a bit of a college football historian, so as soon as you bring up names from the past, my mind's going all over the place. So you bring up Chris Leak, and it drives me crazy when Tim Tebow is given credit for leading 2 national championship teams. He was a substitute quarterback, a wildcat type of player. That was Chris Leak's team in 2006 that upset an Ohio State team that was consensus #1. Pat White, of course, led the Mountaineers to a Sugar Bowl upset of Georgia, a game that shocked me because that Georgia team was very, very talented in 2005. And then if we go back to Peyton Manning, a little bit of trivia here. I was standing in the end zone at Scott Field when Peyton Manning received his first significant playing time, and I believe it might have been his first collegiate touchdown pass a couple games into the 1994 season. I was there when, of course, Mr. Manning hit the field, and everybody knew who he was because of course, the bloodline. So that's what's running through my head when I go through those names.
I'm telling you, it comes to a point where I understand kind of getting the pulse of a lot of Alabama fans. You have half the group that goes, it doesn't matter, plug and play. Bama's won 4 out of the last 7 national championships. Why are we even talking about this? And then you have the other half that's literally, Mark, they're like the group in church crying out, Lord, can we just have a dual threat? Can we just have a freshman? Can we just have somebody young? Can we just have it? And then part B is the group in church going, shut up. We won 4 out of the last 7. Just plug and play. Can you just be happy with that? And I understand the gist of the quarreling from both groups. But here's my standpoint. At some point, you have to look at the future of this program. Even if you were to start Cooper Bateman this year, Cooper Bateman has a great year. What's going to happen? He's going to go to the NFL draft because he's qualified to go. You're back in the same situation again.